All right, so it's recording right now. I'll give it a couple of seconds, and then we can get right into it. So I might as well just turn that off, and then we can just go right into it. My phone just gave me a reminder. All right, so right now I'm talking to Kahlief from Spawn on Me podcast. We're just chilling, man. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm looking at you doing your thing over there.
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. I'm just glad to have you on because I know we talk on and off on a lot of different things and stuff like that. And then this is the first time I get an opportunity to chat with you. You know, this is happening on Blab right now, and the conversation is always interesting with Blab because people can actually add to the conversation, which is what's exciting. So right now we have a comment. Karim, what's going on? What are we talking about? We're talking about games. I know Halo is a hot topic right now. Assassin's Creed is something that, you know, people are chatting about right now. But, you know, I'm just hanging out with my brother Kahlief, man. Kahlief is in the house.
What's
you know,
up,
you're
man?
in the house, you know, and anyone who's going to join us later, depending on how long we go, which is probably not going to be that long anyway. But I'll probably hang, and Kahlief, you know, has to wheels up on a plane in a little bit. So we're just chilling. So Kahlief, man, talk about your show first.
Yep.
You know, pimp out that first, just in case we forget to do that. And then we'll talk about, you know, some of the things surrounding Halo and then Assassin's Creed.
Dope. So I run the Spawn on Me podcast with my co-host Cicero Holmes out of Chicago. I am based out of Portland at this moment. And we run a weekly show that is a conversation that revolves around games, race, social justice, you know, interviews with some top people in the industry. We do that every week, and we try to do it from a perspective of kind of spotlighting people of color in the industry. So we mix a little bit of fun, we mix a little bit of serious. We kind of get everything in one basket and then make it dope. So we do that every week, and you can check us out online and iTunes and all the places you usually find your podcast.
So what's the website? So give the website out so we have that.
Spawnon.me is the name of the site. You can go there and check out our latest shows there on our front page. We usually tweet out links to specific shows every week. So yeah, you can check out that stuff. We had Adam Sessler on last episode.
Yeah, you famous, man. You get all the big people on your show, baby.
Man, Twitter is a beautiful place, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. So we had him on hanging out with us, talking about Friday the 13th game, which he's doing some work with. So that was awesome and really dope because Sess is amazing. And it was good. It was a good show. A lot of horror stuff in that one, so it was dope.
Okay, so what episode number was that for you?
That is 82.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I have a question for you. Since you mentioned race and that highlighted and triggered something for me immediately. That situation that happened with the Milwaukee Buck player.
Yep.
Yeah, talk about that, man. Talk about that a little bit. We'll touch on that and then Halo and then some other stuff, and then, you know, I'll let you go.
So this brother was I forget his name. I think his last name is Henson. I may be wrong.
Okay.
But this brother was going to a jewelry store to go check out some watches. He was like, I just got my contract. I'm doing my thing at the Bucks. Go check out some bling. Go get my watch up. And folks rolled up at the door and shut the door on him. Ran to the back of the store and called the police. So they called the police. They show up, question him, ask him a whole bunch of questions. And he's like, hey, you know, they're like, where'd you get this car from? This car is really interesting. Where'd you get this from? He's like, you know, I just did a deal with the dealership, and these folks gave me a car to kind of pimp out my endorsement. And so it was an interesting conversation that's happening both on social media and a couple other places where people were discussing, you know, race and racism and how much, you know, being a star or being an upcoming star in any kind of form or fashion doesn't necessarily remove you from some of the things we've seen everyone kind of deal with in those spaces and people of color have been dealing with for long periods of time. So it was an interesting conversation just because it showed that some of the folks that you would think would be out of that space still get it. So yeah, it was cool to see people kind of galvanize and talk about it, but really interesting to see how folks reacted in that store.
Right. You know what got me with that whole thing? Because I've been reading and listening to different things about that. After it was identified that he was a player for the Milwaukee Bucks, after he was identified that he was a player for them, the person, I don't know, male or female, according to the report, still wanted the cop to stay there to make sure that the guy was like, that part to me was like, I don't know, man.
I mean,
after he was identified as an NBA player. Man is making $2+ million, whatever he's making, at least. Okay. Mm-hmm. The person still wanted, so that got me. So I got a question for you right there. What made you want to talk about race on your show? Like, why was that one of the things that you wanted to make sure that you talked about? Because I don't talk about race on my show, right? Yeah. So why did you want to talk about race on your show?
I mean, it was a thing that when I would pick up a controller and I would talk about games that I would play and not see people who look like me in those games, I said, there's got to be a market. There's got to be a place where we can have a discussion about representation and having people kind of have a space where they can feel emotions about themselves and also.
Okay, define look like you. So I want to be specific. Black only, or just anybody who's not a particular race or color or creed?
I mean, initially it was about Black people. Initially it was about people exactly who look like me. So it has expanded because, everyone, to a certain extent, you have selfish motivations when you start a project, right? You're like, either this is not being spoken to, this one issue, or this one topic isn't being spoken to, or you have an event or an experience that pushes you forward to kind of talk about a specific thing. I remember playing Final Fantasy VII, and
that was a dope game, man.
Which was dope. And remember seeing Barret and saying, this is an interesting character that is Black in this game, but it's weird in the way that he was written or the way that he was portrayed. And that was from an early age, but not seeing those people being displayed, and Black people and people of color being displayed in ways that are smart, that were intelligent, that were intriguing or interesting in a medium in which I've been engaged with since I was the age of 3. You want to find some kind of discussion there that someone else isn't having, and for the most part, most people weren't having that conversation in games when we started earlier the Spawn Point blog and now Spawn on Me. So people were kind of rough around the edges and hinting at it and beating around the bush. And I said, why beat around the bush? I'm a person of color. I play games. I've been playing games forever. And when I'm not gaming, there are things that are touching upon me from society. Why can't I discuss those things and how they make me feel while I'm playing my game? So we thought that it was important to not kind of sugarcoat that aspect of what we're trying to accomplish when we have our show.
Okay, very cool. Did you get any pushback when you decided that was going to be your part of your branding at all in the beginning or even now?
I would have a lot of folks, people of color, non-people of color, ask specifically, do you think you're going to be pigeonholed by talking about quote unquote Black things? Which is an interesting term in and of itself. And I said, I don't care about that. I said, to a certain extent, it's not about we have an inclusive show. I would say we have guests from all over the diaspora. We have everyone from Kat Small, who's over at Code Liberation, to Adam Sessler. You know what I mean? We had Jeff Kanata, who is not a Black person. And we've had, the two amazing professors, Trey-Andrea Russworm and Kishana Gray, who are teaching about gaming and connecting those in academia, but also doing it from a perspective of Blackness. So we run the gambit, but it's also, important to kind of remember when you get that question of like, do you think you're going to be pigeonholed? You have an audience. Like, having a niche isn't necessarily being pigeonholed. If you do find that people don't necessarily want to engage with your brand in that way, you do have to kind of figure out new ways to move yourself around. But being honest is one of the first ways you can do that. Just talk about what you really are trying to get done, and people will gravitate to that. So if they know you're honest and they know that you really aren't coming from places of malice, then you can make any of that stuff happen.
Okay, so now the state of gaming right now. So what do you think about some of the games that are being talked about right now? Heavy. You got Halo 5 and it's specifically Assassin's Creed, and then you have Call of Duty Black Ops 3 right around the corner. So I want to touch on Assassin's Creed first, and then we'll probably do Halo, right after that, because I know you're short on time. So I haven't played Assassin's Creed.
Right.
But I've been hearing, it's way better than the recent Unity that we had. So if you heard any thoughts on that, definitely share those things.
Some folks that I know who have had some hands-on with it, they said that they've been having lots of fun with it. It's a little bit different in the way that it's been both marketed and also kind of pushed out. Is that the frequency in which you get your missions has been kind of ramped up a little bit, which is nice. It feels like they have done a better way of kind of routing you through your missions, so that they connect better to kind of link you from one to the others. And people have been having lots of fun with it, just based on the narrative that they're trying to push forth. So, kind of digging back into London, England, in a different way that they haven't done before. It's usually been mostly in Italy and other places in that respect. And it's been nice to see a different kind of perspective played out as far as the narrative and also the setting. So it's been a lot of cool stuff that people have been talking about as far as it coming back and doing better than it was in the last episode, the last iteration.
Okay, are you a big Assassin's Creed person, or is it something that you play? Because I love it, but I don't play it a lot. You know what I mean? I just appreciate it for what it is. Is it a big thing for you? Or is it a game that you appreciate from afar? How is it for you?
It's mostly from afar at this point because they lost me by making too many games. Basically, they made too many of them too quickly, and it kind of pushed me off of it. I've been trying to figure out a way to get back into the series, and this may be it, which is nice to know because I'm hearing some good things from people that I trust. But we'll see. I'm not sure if it's necessarily going to be something I'm going to get to now because there are so many games coming out. You just talked about Halo, and Halo right now is way bigger on my want scale than Assassin's Creed. So, that's going to be probably the next thing I wind up purchasing and playing for a long period of time because I've been digging Destiny and everything else for gosh knows how long. So, yeah.
Now, are you hopeful for Call of Duty Black Ops 3? Do you care at this point?
Nope.
Not really. Okay, so we'll jump right to Halo. Okay, so Halo is coming out on October 27th.
Yes.
It's right around the corner. That's next Tuesday, I believe, according to my timeline. I'm still on Earth, so I'm still right. I just want to make sure, right? I've been playing it ever since I would say earlier this week, and bro, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, like I was actually, before I get my thoughts, I want you to give your thoughts first because this is your show right now. So you give your thoughts on Halo. I'll give mine after. So what have you been hearing and what's going on with you with Halo?
So it's been an interesting couple of weeks where we see a lot of folks who've been getting early copies. They've been allowed to stream it. The interesting parts of that is the kind of reliance on AI in this game. So you have an AI squad, which is something new that Halo has never had before. You're kind of tasked with moving them around the space to kind of deal with enemies in a way that you've never had to deal before.
Which I like that.
I think it's smart because if you're going to pull away aspects of like couch multiplayer, which I don't think is necessarily in the game anymore, I may be wrong, then you have to kind of supplement that with something else that kind of builds upon that, right? The game looks gorgeous. I'm super excited to like play around as Nathan Fillion, whoever he is in the actual story. Also to have a dope black protagonist, which makes me feel good to see that they're doing.
He's cool too. Yeah.
Right? He's a cool cat too. I'm like, yo, that dude looks dope. He's like,
yeah, he's cool.
Right? And it's weird because Halo has been kind of on the back burner for a long time right now. It's been not in the forefront. Call of Duty has taken that space. Destiny has taken that space. And you see now that Halo coming back may have a chance to kind of regain its throne. And it's going to be an interesting, the thing that's going to make that actually work really well is to see if that Halo competitive community comes back. If they come back, then Halo will do some work in sales and in numbers, and then also in mind share, which is going to be really interesting to see how they bounce back from that. I want to see Bonnie Ross, who is running 343 right now. I want to see what she's going to bring to the table because she's dope anyway. But to see her kind of like take this to the next level will be extremely dope. So a lot of stuff. What do you think?
Okay, so for me personally, I kind of look at it like us right now, two black guys doing two separate shows that are, podcasts, obviously, right? You're amazing at what you do, right? Yes. And I'm all right at what I do, whatever that is, right? This is all right. I'm all right, all right? But the thing is, the fact that Destiny has its own thing, and Halo has its own thing, I think we're still going to see the appreciation for the brand that it is when it releases on the 27th, as much as we're still enjoying, the Destiny. Zer's in town today. It's Friday. We gotta go see what he has and stuff like that. But dude, let me tell you something. Halo 5, my whole time playing the campaign, my heart rate was up the whole time. And I don't think I've felt that way about any game recently. Well, except for Destiny, because you have a lot of strikes and different things that you do in terms of the difficulty levels of what you do in the game. But the whole campaign experience, dude, moving the people around, as you were mentioning before, and then asking them to pick up certain weapons, you can do that. They leave the heavier weapons to you, but you can, any other weapon they can pick up. So if there's a sniper, so if there's a sniper, you want them to have the sniper because technically it's unlimited ammo when it's in their hands instead of when it's in your hands, stuff like that. So moving the people around has been dope, throughout the whole campaign. The campaign experience for me was 8 hours. It was about 8 hours. Amazing, as you mentioned, the graphics, 60 frames per second. It's beautiful. And then yesterday, according to, I guess, the timeline, depending when I released this, the 23rd, they released the co-op and then the multiplayer aspect of the game, which was yesterday. And I played the multiplayer. Let me tell you, man, I lost one game. I was so mad. Like, I can't, dude, I was so mad because you know why? Because the score is so good. Like, the soundtrack is so good.
Right.
It puts you in the moment of like, this is a defining moment of my life. You know what I'm saying? If I ruin, I'm serious, man. If I ruin this experience and they make you feel like, dude, this is the end of the line for you. This is like 5 seconds. You got one more shot. You better make this. You understand what I'm saying? So then I'm playing the game. I played 2-3 matches. I didn't play that much, but enough to know that it is intense.
Right.
You are not passive. You are in it.
Right.
You are in the experience. And then they do kind of like the look at us. We're about to get down in the beginning, like when they show the characters come out, like your squad.
Right,
and then when you lose, they kind of flash the team that just whooped you, man, like this. Yes. So I was angry. And then the guy who did the score, I can't think of his name right now, but I've been seeing some of the things that he's been doing. Dude, this guy is amazing. The score of the game, the way they put the tracks and where you come into the game in terms of the next scene here or the next scene there is amazing. The opening sequence of the game is like watching a movie, because I think that's on the Xbox YouTube channel anyway. Yep. But it's like you're watching it's like the Avengers for Spartans. Oh. Like, if you ever seen the beginning of Avengers, like everybody's doing their thing. Yeah. Iron Man is flying, Hulk is throwing a body or a car and all that stuff. And, they're jumping into a section, close quarters. They're killing people, like, and they're jumping out, and then they probably jump on a surfboard, but not really a surfboard, but you know what I mean? That whole sequence of like a Avengers type sequence you would see in the beginning of a movie is how Halo starts. That's the first cutting scene. It's like almost 2 minutes, or maybe I'm exaggerating at this point, but that's how it starts. That's your first cut scene. Well, technically your second, because the first one is dealing with Dr. Halsey, but that's something else. But your main cut scene right after that is that Avengers, Spartans getting it in. So then you jump into that. And then, you go into the game and you like, man, I'm about to kill everything up in this piece. You understand what I'm saying? And then that whole feeling doesn't go away, because they keep the tension on you the whole time.
Right.
The whole time you're going into the different scenes, you're like, you have this buildup of the tension. What's going on with Cortana? What's happening with Dr. Halsey? What's going on with this other guy that they mentioned that I'm not going to give away, and stuff like that, And then you have all these different characters in the game, and you're like, yo, this is getting crazy. Am I going to make it? Because the bosses are getting tougher as you're prolonging into the scene. So, and then you have to control them, make sure they don't die. Then you got to revive them, because you get a chance to revive them. And if you don't revive them on time, they die, and they don't come back until probably like 2 minutes later, depending on the sequence. So you could lose people in the process if you don't revive them on time. So you got to make sure they fall back and all that stuff. So overall, this is just a preview or whatever. Yeah, technically it's just a preview, but the experience has been great. I have no complaints. And
let me ask you this question really quick.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about where the Xbox One has been kind of positioned at this point. We saw that Phil Spencer had like a mea culpa a little bit earlier in the month.
Yeah, the Geekwire thing, right?
Right, where he talked about, how Sony's kind of kicking their butt in sales. Do you think that this game, with as much excitement as you just talked about it with, do you think that this game can pull up the sales of the Xbox One as far as their console sales go?
I think it can, but I'm going to agree with Phil that he's not catching up to PlayStation. I don't think no one in their right mind believes that they're catching up to PlayStation. But and I also say I'm biased because I've always liked Halo. I played every Halo except for the RTS game, right?
Okay.
Right. So every Halo I've played, even though I was upset about the Master Chief Collection because of it was plagued with the disease of non-connectivity or it was broken in a lot of ways. Outside of that, I still got it. I still got the Master Chief Collection because I'm a Halo fan. But I'm trying to at this point in the game, Kahlief, this is how I feel about things. I don't care what you think about this system or that system.
Sure.
I could care less. That's just not you personally, but I'm just saying just the whole overall conversation that happens around, this console versus that console.
Right.
Phil Spencer shouldn't have said that. We had the information. What he said, we had that information. He wasn't sharing something that we didn't know.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So you being the head of Xbox, you shouldn't say that. You that dude. You know what I'm saying? You gotta keep that level of, if you're losing a battle, I'm not gonna say, hey guys, we're losing this battle. We gotta pull back. You just do the commands according to what you're supposed to do, but you don't admit that you're not catching up, because he's trained. He's been in with Microsoft for at least 10 plus years. At least 10 plus years.
Do you think? Because I'll ask you this, because I would say I disagree a little bit, and this is the reason why. They're still kind of recovering from the Dan Matrick issues when he pulled the deal with it, basically. Go buy whatever you need to buy to go play the backwards compatibility and everything else. And I feel like they're still kind of doing the we're sorry. And I feel like this was an extension of that.
I agree with you. I'm with you on that. But here's the thing.
Sure.
You're still in the process of gaining your people back, if you will. Right? You're faithful, but you're faithful, they won't leave. They'll forgive you regardless. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So who are you really trying to gain back now? Because if you know for a fact that you're not going to be catching up to the number one, player right now, then there's just certain ways that you can be even more strategic about what you're going to say. We know you're not catching up.
Right.
Okay. Especially those who are looking at the metrics and the numbers and stuff like that. You, me, and whoever else in the industry. We know that. It would be nice if you did, but we know that because Halo looks like it's really, really good right now, that you're going to sell consoles.
Right.
You're going to sell. So October, at the end of October or early November, whenever the next number cycle releases, it's going to show that you made some sales.
Right.
A good amount. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So now you're on a big platform. And then you are a big guy in that, industry. There's just certain things that you just can't say. But so I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. But still, as the leader, there's just certain information that shouldn't come from the leader. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
And that's where I am with it. So, but in terms of, what he said, he wasn't incorrect because I'm biased anyway. And I'm going to like certain things that Microsoft does regardless. You're not losing me.
Right.
As a gamer, you're not losing me. I'm still going to play Tomb Raider. I'm still going to play Halo. I'm still going to play your exclusives and stuff like that. And I'm just going to say how much time you have because I know I'm rambling right now. I'm going in.
I got another 2 or 3.
Okay. Exactly. So in short, you're right. I agree with your standpoint. But as a leader, some people hold on to that information that you say and they run with it.
Yes.
I'll stop there with it.
I'll just say really quick, it'll be really interesting to see how that plays itself out in the next month. And then I would love to come back and chat about how that works.
Yeah, of course, man. So pimp out your stuff real quick, and then you can be out. Do what you gotta do, man.
First of all, I gotta say we gotta get you on the show because you were dope. Your shows are dope. Don't stop trying to downplay your dopeness because your dopeness is ridiculous. So stop doing that because you have dope content. You got a dope show.
I appreciate it, man.
You got an amazing interview with Hanny the other day, which was amazing and great. You had like some great insights and stuff in there. And I'm happy to see that you were doing such big things. And we just run a weekly show, man. We do our thing. We try to make sure that people have fun. We talk about issues, but we also talk about, what was it last week? R. Kelly and Trapped in the Closet and how that pertains to R&B music and all this other nonsense that we talk about. So yeah, we have a cornucopia of nonsensical, magical things, but also
that's dope, man.
Also some pretty cool gaming chatter up in there too. So you can check that out on spawnon.me. Check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, most of the places you can go and hear podcasts over there. And I think that's pretty much it on our end. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do for our next gaming event, Spawn for Good. And you can hear a little bit more about that on the webs and follow us at Spawn on Me, at Kachakins, and all that good stuff, man. Word.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for hanging out and safe flight. Wishing you the very best. And then I'm sure we'll link up not too many days hence.
Yes, please. I would love that. We got to figure out a day to schedule you in and get you on the show, man. So we can.
I appreciate that, and same to you, man. Well, again, because you on now. You the man. You that dude now.
I mean, right now, I feel like I just walked down the red carpet and people were like, "Yo, Kai." I was like, "Nah, son, that's Andrew right there, man. You can't, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not me. That's that dude right there, man." So
you're the man, man. I appreciate you, man. Just safe flight, man, and keep in touch, man.
We'll do, man. Mad love to you, man.
Same to you.
All right, man. Be good. Peace.
You too, man.
Peace.
And that was Kahlief from Spawn on Me. Definitely cool guy. I was able to hang out with him during E3 2015. So just excited about, some of the stuff that's going on with gaming right now. Much love to him, his family. Hopefully, everything happens for him, that he gets back home safe. So, I just wanted to talk about some game stuff. I definitely did a quick preview of Halo 5 in this episode of the show radio. Not sure exactly what I'm going to name it yet, but I'm definitely going to have Halo 5 in the title. We definitely talked about Assassin's Creed, and we even went into some sports stuff, which is related to that situation that happened to the Milwaukee Buck player when he tried to buy a Rolex. So that's pretty much it for this edition of the show radio. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad it worked out the way it did. This puts you in the hot seat of how much you can create, content on the fly. So this was definitely content on the fly, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did. So guys, gals, thanks for listening. Please subscribe. I'm definitely doing a lot of stuff on YouTube now. I have some content I'm getting ready to release on YouTube. So definitely go to theshowradio.info. I'm actually going to put a link there for my YouTube channel. So subscribe, guys, to the show on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and all that will be absolutely amazing. And thank you so much. And guys, see you next time.